Hello, friend. So glad you're here tonight. Get comfortable, pull the covers up, and let the day loosen its grip. There's nowhere else you need to be. Before we begin, a small request. Most of the people listening tonight aren't subscribed. If this channel has ever helped you drift off, take a moment to subscribe and tap the like button on tonight's video. Both are free. They take 2 seconds, and they help this channel more than you'd think. And you can always change your mind later. And if you feel like it, leave a comment telling me where in the world you're listening from and what time it is where you are. I love reading them. Tonight is a slow drift through the real story of medieval, one true thing at a time. There is nothing to do here and nothing to remember. Each one will pass like a slow cloud, some familiar, some quietly surprising, all of them real. If you fall asleep somewhere in the middle, that is exactly how this is meant to work. Settle in, let your breathing slow down, and we will begin. One more thing before we begin. I'm also a co-founder of a sleep app, built to be the most affordable one out there. No ads, ever. Just sounds and stories made to help you sleep. It may not be released yet as this video goes up, but if you're watching a little later, it might be out by now. Just search for it. It should be easy to find. It works on iPhone, Android, and everything in between. Downloading it is the best way to support this channel. Many historians regard Western Europe after the fall of the Roman Empire as completely devoid of interest in science. Over a span of 1,000 years, medieval farming in this region underwent significant changes, reflecting a practical approach to the natural world. Farmers experimented with new crops and techniques, demonstrating an empirical understanding of their environment. This period also saw many women accused of witchcraft, indicating a superstitious belief system that clashed with scientific reasoning. The lack of formal scientific institutions and widespread literacy contributed to this perception of stagnation in medieval science. Historians have drawn these conclusions from surviving texts and artifacts, which reveal a society more focused on survival than abstract thought. Farmers' trials with seeds and soil amendments yielded better harvests, reflecting their hands-on learning. Village wisdom was passed down orally, not in books. Fear of the unknown drove accusations of witchcraft, not empirical evidence. The absence of scientific journals left knowledge scattered, not consolidated. The methods used by these farmers were not recorded in texts, but preserved through generations of practice. Observations and adaptations led to incremental advances in agricultural techniques. Superstitions filled gaps in understanding, influencing behaviors towards the natural world. This gradual accumulation of knowledge was rooted in necessity rather than curiosity. In this time, knowledge was not something to be taught, but something to be lived. Each season brought its own lessons, learned through the dirt under fingernails and the ache in the back from long days of work. The natural world was seen as something to be respected, not conquered. Observations of the changing seasons and the growth of crops were vital tools for survival. Understanding came from close contact with the land, not from distant theories. On Christmas Day, in the year 800 AD, Charlemagne was crowned Holy Roman Emperor. This event took place in a grand cathedral, likely filled with dim candlelight, echoing whispers of the gathered crowd. The title bestowed upon him signified his rule over many lands, uniting them under one power. The crown itself, heavy and ornate, would have been carefully placed on Charlemagne's head by a revered clergyman. The date chosen for this coronation holds significance, as Christmas is a time of renewal and hope in the Christian faith. This historical fact has been preserved through centuries, passed down through texts and stories written long ago. The coronation solidified Charlemagne's dominion over Western Europe, marking a turning point in medieval politics. It established a precedent for future emperors, creating a lineage of power that would endure for centuries. This event is documented in various historical accounts, including the Royal Frankish Annals and Einhard's biography of Charlemagne. The weight of the crown symbolized the heavy responsibility of ruling over diverse territories and peoples. Whispers of "Long live the emperor" filled the air as Charlemagne ascended to his throne. The act of coronation was a profound ceremony, marking a transfer of divine authority from God to man. Historical records detail this event with careful precision, ensuring its memory endures. The heavy crown, a symbol of unity and power, was crafted with intricate detail, reflecting the skill of medieval artisans. The echoing whispers of the crowd signified their recognition of Charlemagne's new role, a collective acceptance of his authority. Each flickering candle in the grand cathedral cast shadows that danced on the walls, creating an atmosphere of solemnity and awe. Historians, through meticulous study of ancient texts, have pieced together the events of that day, revealing the significance of this historical moment. The Carolingian Empire, founded by Charlemagne, reached its peak around 800 AD. This was a period of significant expansion and influence for the empire, stretching across much of Western Europe. The strength and stability of the realm allowed for cultural advancements and religious growth to flourish. Historical records and artifacts from this time provide insight into the daily lives of people living in the empire. Charlemagne's leadership played a crucial role in unifying various regions under one banner, fostering a sense of cohesion among his subjects. The empire's peak can be observed through architectural achievements and preserved manuscripts that tell stories of this golden age. As the years passed, scholars and historians have carefully analyzed documents to piece together the intricacies of life during this era. The legacy of Charlemagne's rule continues to be studied and appreciated for its historical significance. Under Charlemagne's rule, learning and arts were patronized, leading to an intellectual renaissance across the empire. Archaeological findings reveal intricate craftsmanship and architectural details from this period, showcasing high levels of skill and artistic expression. Manuscripts preserved from this era provide evidence of advanced writing techniques and knowledge dissemination among scholars and monks. The analysis of these artifacts offers valuable insights into the societal structures, religious practices, and intellectual pursuits of the time. In the heart of monasteries, scribes diligently copied texts by hand, preserving both religious and secular knowledge. These writings often included illuminations, intricate decorations that highlighted key passages. The survival of these manuscripts in various libraries and archives allows modern scholars to study them today. Through careful examination of the text's contents and their physical form, researchers can reconstruct aspects of life during the Carolingian era. The Middle Ages in Europe are often referred to as the Dark Ages. This period, spanning from the 5th to the 15th century, is sometimes called dark due to a perceived lack of intellectual growth. Yet this label oversimplifies the complex nature of medieval times. In fact, during this era, significant innovations emerged, including the mechanical clock and eyeglasses. These inventions showcased an evolving understanding of mechanics and optics. The term Dark Ages was popularized by Enlightenment figures like Voltaire, who criticized medieval intellectual stagnation. However, this perspective overlooks the steady advancements made during this time. The Middle Ages were not devoid of light, but rather a period of transition, with new ideas and technologies slowly taking shape. The term Dark Ages is a misnomer that fails to capture the rich cultural and scientific heritage of medieval times. It was a period marked by continuous learning and adaptation, as evident in the development of advanced agricultural techniques and water mills. This knowledge was often documented in manuscripts and passed down through generations, fostering an environment of gradual progress. The medieval era laid the groundwork for many modern inventions, highlighting its vital role in human history. Medieval artisans and scholars gradually refined their techniques through trial and error, building on the knowledge of previous generations. Monasteries served as centers of learning, where monks copied and preserved ancient texts for future study. The spread of paper from Asia to Europe in the late Middle Ages facilitated the dissemination of ideas across wider geographical areas. Medieval society is sometimes described as superstitious and pale compared to Greek and Roman ages. During this time, disease was an omnipresent threat, shaping beliefs and practices. The plague of Justinian, a deadly outbreak from 541 to 542, swept through the Eastern Roman Empire. It claimed countless lives and left deep scars on the landscape. The empire's once vibrant cities became shadows of their former selves, streets emptied save for the echoes of distant memories. The plague brought fear and uncertainty, fueling superstitions as people sought explanations for the suffering. Survivors lived in a world marked by loss, where the glow of candles in dimly lit rooms served as both comfort and reminder of lives extinguished. In this altered reality, medieval society adapted, turning to rituals and beliefs that offered solace amidst the despair. The plague's impact on daily life was profound. Many abandoned their homes, seeking safety in isolation. The once bustling marketplaces fell silent, replaced by the occasional whisper of prayer. Churches filled with the mournful chants of the bereaved, as religious practices intensified in desperation for divine intervention. Survivors wore protective charms and amulets, clinging to any symbol that might ward off the unseen enemy. Houses that once welcomed guests now stood shuttered and abandoned. Herbs and roots from nearby forests were boiled into remedies of uncertain effectiveness. The living shunned the dead, leaving corpses in the streets for removal by those brave or desperate enough to do so. Whispers of contagion spread faster than the disease itself as neighbors turned on each other. Medieval farming in England was characterized by peasant families working the land. This farming, it was their lifeblood, a vital necessity for their very existence. The fields they tended, often small and bordered by hedges, were their primary source of sustenance. Every season brought new labors, from planting seeds in spring to harvesting crops under autumn's sun. In these humble plots, families grew not just food, but also the means to barter for essentials. The earth they tilled was more than soil. It was their livelihood, their connection to survival in a world where every grain counted. This was life for medieval peasants, their hands in the dirt, their fate intertwined with each growing season. Their tools were simple, often crafted from wood and iron, but their knowledge of the land was deep, passed down through generations. The crops they grew varied with the region, from wheat in the south to oats in the north, each adapted to the local soil and climate. They learned by observation, noting which seeds thrived and which did not, year after year. Their survival depended on this intimate understanding of nature's cycles and rhythms, a wisdom ingrained in their daily tasks. Each season's harvest determined whether there would be enough food for the coming winter. They studied the sky for signs of rain and weathered changes in temperature with resolve. In their huts, they stored seeds from the previous year's best crops, preserving them for future planting. Their lives were dictated by the seasons, with each change bringing specific tasks to prepare for or recover from the previous. The seeds they stored were treated as precious commodities, handled with care to ensure their viability. Each family's experience with the land was unique, shaped by the particular challenges and advantages of their plot. By sharing knowledge within their community, they strengthened each other's resilience against nature's unpredictability. Medieval universities like Bologna and Paris were renowned for their law and theology programs, respectively. The walls of Bologna's halls echoed with discussions on jurisprudence, while Paris was ablaze with debates on faith. Students from across Europe flocked to these institutions, seeking wisdom in these disciplines. The architecture of these universities reflected their prominence, with grand lecture halls and towering libraries housing ancient texts. Scholars traveled long distances to teach and learn at these centers of knowledge. Over time, the reputation of Bologna and Paris grew, attracting the brightest minds who would shape the intellectual landscape of the Middle Ages. These universities fostered an environment where ideas could be challenged and refined through constant dialogue and discourse. The pursuit of knowledge was a collective endeavor, with scholars collaborating on texts and sharing insights in communal spaces. The cities that housed these institutions benefited from the influx of students, who contributed to local economies and cultural life. This period of intellectual growth laid the foundation for modern academic institutions. These centers of learning were not isolated from the world. They engaged with contemporary issues and sought practical applications for their studies. The shared living quarters and dining halls fostered a sense of community among students, encouraging them to explore ideas together. Informal gatherings in taverns and courtyards allowed for spontaneous exchanges of thoughts and perspectives. The physical layout of the universities, with interconnected buildings and open spaces, facilitated the free flow of intellectual discourse. The lecture halls resounded with arguments and counter-arguments, pushing the boundaries of understanding. Scholars pored over ancient manuscripts, their quills scratching as they annotated and analyzed. Students exchanged views in communal courtyards, deepening their comprehension through debate. The exchange of ideas was a continual process, shaping perspectives and challenging established beliefs. Byzantine and Islamic influences significantly impacted medieval European science. Many of these scientists were connected to monasteries, cathedral schools, or universities like those in Paris, Oxford, and Bologna. Their work included innovations such as mechanical clocks, which marked the passage of time with precision. Eyeglasses, another notable invention, brought clearer vision to many. Additionally, their studies delved into mechanics, where they developed the impetus theory. These advancements did not emerge in isolation. Rather, they were shaped by the knowledge and techniques that flowed from the East. This influence was seen in the methods used and the ideas explored, all of which enriched the scientific landscape of medieval Europe. Scholars translated and interpreted texts from Arabic and Greek, integrating these foreign ideas into their own work. Knowledge spread through manuscripts copied by hand in scriptoria, traveling along trade routes to different parts of Europe. This interchange fostered a collaborative intellectual environment where concepts were shared and built upon freely. By absorbing and adapting Eastern wisdom, European scientists made substantial leaps forward in various fields. This intellectual exchange occurred over centuries as Europeans studied and expanded upon the works of ancient civilizations. The spread of paper technology from China to the Islamic world facilitated this knowledge transfer. Scholars in European universities diligently copied and analyzed these texts, ensuring their accurate preservation. Through dialogue and debate, diverse perspectives were integrated into European thought, driving scientific progress forward. Manuscripts were exchanged among scholars across regions, fostering a collective understanding of scientific principles. This exchange also led to the refinement and correction of previous ideas through peer review and discussion. Knowledge was further solidified through practical application and experimentation in various European settings. As a result, new interpretations and theories began to emerge, pushing the boundaries of medieval European science. Islamic researchers began studying ophthalmology more closely during the latter part of the medieval period. This study involved examining the structure and function of the eye in detail, often through dissection and observation under natural light. Scholars consulted ancient texts and conducted their own experiments to better understand the intricacies of vision. The knowledge they gathered was documented meticulously in manuscripts that have survived centuries, providing insight into the advancements made during this time. These researchers were driven by a desire to understand the body and improve medical practices within their communities. Their findings laid the foundation for future studies in ophthalmology. Their observations under natural light allowed them to note subtle changes in the eye's anatomy during different conditions. By comparing these findings with ancient texts, they could validate or challenge existing knowledge. Their careful dissections revealed the complex structure of the eye, while their experiments on living subjects offered insights into its dynamic function. Through careful examination, they identified the optic nerve as a vital component in transmitting visual information to the brain. By observing changes in eye color and shape under various conditions, they hypothesized about the eye's ability to adapt to different environments. Their experiments on animals provided further evidence for these theories, demonstrating the eye's capacity to dilate or constrict depending on light levels. These researchers also noted how the eye's lens changed shape to focus light differently, enabling clear vision at various distances. Their observations under varying light conditions revealed the iris's role in regulating the amount of light entering the eye. By studying the eye's response to different stimuli, they discovered that certain parts of the retina were more sensitive to light or motion. This understanding deepened their knowledge of how the eye processes visual information. The list of medieval European scientists comprises scholars and natural philosophers active across Europe from roughly the 5th to the 15th centuries CE. These figures blended empirical observation with scholastic theology and philosophy, shaping their understanding of the world around them. The Middle Ages were a time marked by feudalism, where lands were divided into fiefs governed by lords, and the Crusades, which saw Europeans journey to the Holy Land. During this period, scientists combined their observations with religious beliefs, creating a unique intersection of faith and science. This era was one of great intellectual curiosity, with scholars studying everything from the heavens above to the earth below. The feudal system provided some with the leisure time needed for academic pursuits, while the Crusades exposed Europeans to new ideas and cultures. Scholars often gathered in monasteries and universities, sharing their findings and debating theories, fostering a rich environment for scientific thought. Their work was preserved in manuscripts, copied by hand, and often illustrated to aid understanding. They observed natural phenomena like the seasons and tides, attempting to explain them through theoretical frameworks rooted in ancient Greek philosophy. Their findings were disseminated across Europe, sparking further investigations and discussions among peers. The relationship between scientific pursuits and religious institutions was complex, with some scholars facing criticism for their ideas, while others enjoyed institutional support. Their observations were often recorded in Latin, the universal language of learning at the time. These medieval scholars utilized tools like astrolabes and armillary spheres to study the heavens. They documented their findings in detailed diagrams and illustrations, some showing the positions of celestial bodies. The manuscripts they created served as valuable resources for future generations of scientists. Medieval European science included fields such as astronomy, mathematics, physics, medicine, optics, and natural history. These scholars translated ancient Greek texts into Latin, preserving knowledge for future generations. They studied the stars with naked eyes, mapping constellations across the night sky. Their writings filled cathedral schools, later forming the foundation of medieval universities. These institutions welcomed students from far-off lands, eager to learn the secrets of mathematics and optics. Within these walls, scholars debated the nature of light and its travel through space. They pored over ancient medical texts, seeking cures for ailments both common and rare. The quiet hum of their conversations filled these halls as they delved into the intricacies of science, each fact a step forward in human understanding. Their observations were recorded in painstaking detail, often accompanied by intricate illustrations. Manuscripts were copied and recopied, ensuring the longevity of their discoveries. Debates sparked new ideas, leading to fresh experiments and more precise measurements. This collective pursuit of knowledge laid the groundwork for future scientific advancements. These scholars also observed natural phenomena like eclipses and tides, seeking to explain them with mathematical models. They carefully measured the angles of shadows cast by objects at different times of day. Their experiments were simple, often using common materials found in nature or daily life. Through patient observation and documentation, they gradually uncovered patterns in the world around them. They noted the positions of stars at different times of year, charting their movements with careful accuracy. They observed how objects fell to the ground, comparing their findings with earlier writings. They examined plants and animals, documenting their growth and behaviors in meticulous detail. They recorded changes in the weather, trying to discern any underlying regularities. The agricultural advances in the medieval period lasted until the end of the 13th century, spanning a significant portion of this historical epoch. This era is marked by two divisions, with the first stretching from its beginning to the close of the 13th century. It was during this initial phase that many crucial advancements in agriculture took place. The period of development and growth was followed by a time of recession and eventual recovery. These advances did not happen overnight. They were the result of years of experimentation, adaptation, and learning from the land itself. Farmers observed their crops closely, studying the effects of different techniques on yield and quality. Over time, this accumulated knowledge led to innovations that would sustain communities for centuries. The changes in agricultural practices were evident on the ground, with new tools being used in fields and improved methods of irrigation becoming commonplace. The use of the heavy plow helped farmers break through tough soil, increasing crop yields. Crop rotation techniques were discovered to prevent depletion of nutrients in the land. Manure was spread on fields to enhance fertility, a practice that became widespread. New seeds from distant regions were tested and adopted, expanding the variety of crops grown. Farmers began to organize crops into specific patterns, learning that certain plants grew better together while others did not. They noticed that some crops seemed to naturally deter pests, and so they experimented with planting these near their most valuable harvests. The knowledge of how different types of soil reacted to various farming methods was shared among communities, ensuring that everyone benefited from the collective wisdom. The universities of Bologna and Oxford, two of the oldest institutions in Europe, did not seek official charters for quite some time. They believed their established reputations were enough to secure their standing. The idea that an official document was needed to validate their existence seemed unnecessary. Over time, this belief was reinforced by the respect and recognition they received from scholars and students worldwide. Their grand libraries filled with ancient texts became symbols of their status. Visitors would gaze upon these towering shelves, feeling a sense of awe at the vast collection of knowledge housed within. The walls of these universities echoed with the sounds of lectures, discussions, and debates, creating an atmosphere that was palpable to all who entered. The absence of official recognition did not hinder these institutions from becoming hubs of learning and discovery. Their reputations grew steadily through the dedication of their scholars and the quality of their teachings. The respect they commanded was evident in the steady stream of students who flocked to their doors, eager to partake in the intellectual riches offered. This esteem was further cemented by the enduring value of the knowledge disseminated from these hallowed halls. The longevity of these institutions was not measured by documents, but by the enduring relevance of their teachings. Their influence spread through the networks of alumni who carried their knowledge across continents. The absence of official validation allowed for an organic evolution, adapting to the needs of each new generation of scholars. This adaptability ensured that the institutions remained vital and dynamic, continually growing with the advancement of human understanding. The Crusades began in the year 1096 and lasted until the fall of Acre in 1291. This period spanned nearly 2 centuries, a significant portion of medieval history. The call to arms echoed through Europe, rallying many to embark on perilous journeys eastward. Castles along the way provided rest and reinforcement for the travel-weary knights. The holy city of Jerusalem was their ultimate goal, a place of pilgrimage and veneration. The siege of Acre marked the end of this era, leaving behind a trail of historical accounts that help us piece together these distant events. These pilgrimages were often arduous and fraught with danger, as the journey across land and sea was treacherous. The remnants of these crusades can still be seen today in the ruins of castles and fortifications scattered along their paths. Chroniclers and historians have documented these events through written accounts and illustrations. These records provide a glimpse into the mindset, tactics, and experiences of those who participated. Archaeological finds and architectural remnants offer tangible evidence of these expeditions. The intricate designs etched on ancient maps guide us through their routes. Medieval chronicles and religious texts serve as invaluable sources, preserving the memory of these endeavors. Each artifact uncovered brings us closer to understanding the complexity of these historical events. Through these relics and tales, we can trace the paths taken by the Crusaders, experiencing their trials and triumphs. The remnants of siege weapons and battle-scarred walls bear witness to the fierce struggles that unfolded. Meticulous analysis of medieval documents sheds light on the strategic decisions made during these campaigns. Careful excavation of ancient sites reveals insights into the daily lives of those who undertook these journeys. The Hundred Years' War between England and France lasted from 1337 to 1453, spanning over a century of conflict. This prolonged period saw numerous battles fought across the English Channel, marking a significant chapter in European history. The war's duration was not merely a test of strength, but also a trial of endurance for soldiers and civilians alike. The chronicle of this protracted struggle is preserved in historical records, offering insights into the medieval world's political landscape and military strategies. Through the lens of time, we can envision the worn paths where armies marched and the sieges that transformed fortresses into ruins. The war's conclusion, finally reached after generations, left indelible marks on both nations, shaping their future relations. The constant state of warfare shaped the economic and social structures of both countries, impacting trade routes and agricultural practices. It fostered advancements in military technology and tactics, as seen in the evolution of siege weapons and fortifications. The prolonged conflict necessitated diplomatic efforts and treaties, often leading to temporary ceasefires. Historians have studied various primary sources, including manuscripts, chronicles, and architectural remains, to piece together the narrative of this extensive war. This extended period of hostility also influenced cultural developments, with literature and art reflecting the turbulent times. The lessons from this prolonged conflict have been instrumental in understanding the dynamics of long-term warfare and its consequences. Archaeological excavations have uncovered remnants of battlefields and fortifications, providing tangible evidence of the war's impact on the landscape. Additionally, studies of economic records show the significant financial burden that was placed upon both countries during this era. The Hagia Sophia was built between 532 and 537 AD during the reign of Emperor Justinian I Firstinian. This grand structure, located in the heart of Constantinople, now modern-day Istanbul, is a marvel of architectural achievement. Its construction began after the previous church on the site was destroyed by riots, an event known as the Nika Revolt. The emperor, eager to leave his mark on history, commissioned the renowned architects Anthemius of Tralles and Isidore of Miletus to design this new temple. The builders worked tirelessly, using innovative techniques and materials to create a dome that seemed to float above the nave, casting an ethereal glow over the worshippers below. Stone by stone, they raised the walls and vaults, each piece meticulously placed to support the massive weight of the dome. The result was a space of unparalleled grandeur, where light filtered through the windows, creating a serene and uplifting atmosphere that inspired awe in all who entered. The dome's design, with its ribs and pendentives, allowed weight to be evenly distributed, ensuring stability. This innovation in construction technique was documented in contemporary texts, providing insights into the builder's methods. The interior's luminosity was achieved by strategically placing windows at varying heights, maximizing natural light. Visitors today still marvel at the engineering feat that enables this monument to endure for centuries. Each stone block was hand-carved and carefully laid to create a perfect fit with its neighbors. The dome's weight was further supported by 4 massive piers at the corners of the structure. This design allowed the building to withstand earthquakes, which were common in the region. Observations from various angles revealed the subtle curvature of the dome, ensuring stability and preventing collapse. Medieval history includes the time period from approximately AD 600 to AD 1500. This span of nearly 1,000 years saw significant changes in society and culture across Europe, the Middle East, and parts of Asia. The dates themselves are approximations, based on historical records and transitions observed in architecture, art, and literature. Historians use these markers as reference points to delineate the medieval era from what came before and after. The term medieval was coined later during the Renaissance to distinguish this period from their own time of rebirth and enlightenment. The boundaries of AD 600 and AD 500 are not rigid. Events and changes often overlapped into neighboring periods, reflecting the fluid nature of historical development. Over these centuries, the landscape transformed with the rise of castles and monasteries, while intellectual pursuits evolved within newly established universities. During this time, the feudal system took hold, with peasants working lands owned by lords who provided protection. This social structure shaped daily life and influenced power dynamics. Manuscripts preserved knowledge from ancient times, while oral traditions kept stories alive across generations. The Crusades marked key interactions between Eastern and Western cultures, shaping religious and political landscapes. During this era, written records became increasingly vital for preserving information about religion and law. The Latin language was often used in these documents, reflecting the dominant influence of the Roman Catholic Church. Scholars studied classical texts to gain insights into philosophy and science. Trade routes brought new ideas and goods from distant lands, contributing to a broader cultural exchange. The Gothic architecture style emerged and flourished during the High Middle Ages. This period saw the development of pointed arches, which allowed for taller structures than before. The ribbed vaults that accompanied these arches created a unique visual appeal, defining the Gothic aesthetic. These architectural elements became common in churches and cathedrals across Europe. The use of pointed arches not only elevated buildings, but also opened up interiors to more light. Over time, masons and builders perfected this style, making it a signature feature of medieval architecture. The pointed arches enabled the weight of the buildings to be distributed evenly across their structures, reducing the risk of collapse. This innovation allowed for larger windows and more intricate stained glass designs within these religious spaces. The enhanced lighting cast colorful patterns onto the interiors, creating a sense of awe and spirituality. As masons shared techniques with one another, the style spread rapidly across Europe. The mastery of pointed arches facilitated the creation of flying buttresses, external supports that further stabilized buildings and permitted even greater heights. This advancement in structural engineering paved the way for more elaborate decorations and sculptures adorning church exteriors. The dissemination of these techniques was aided by the circulation of pattern books among craftsmen, ensuring consistency and refinement across various regions. As a result, Gothic architecture became synonymous with grandeur and precision, leaving an enduring legacy in European building traditions. This innovation in engineering also allowed for the construction of grander naves and choirs, creating vast spaces that could hold larger congregations. The ability to distribute weight more evenly enabled the addition of side aisles, further enlarging interior dimensions. The sharing of these techniques was not just through pattern books. Masons often traveled between sites, observing and learning from one another. This collaborative spirit helped refine and standardize Gothic architectural practices. The Vikings established settlements in areas such as Normandy in France. These settlers traveled great distances across the sea, their longships carving through rough waters. They chose this land for its rich soil and fertile plains, ideal for farming and raising livestock. Over time, these settlers integrated into local communities, adopting some customs while maintaining others from their homeland. Artifacts discovered in archaeological digs bear witness to their presence. Tools, pottery, and even burial mounds shaped like the longships they sailed on. The legacy of these Viking settlements is evident in place names, cultural practices, and genetic traces that persist to this day. The stories of these early explorers have been passed down through generations, preserved in oral traditions and historical accounts. Their journey marked a significant chapter in the history of Europe, shaping the landscape and heritage of the regions they inhabited. The remnants of Viking dwellings can still be found in some areas, providing a tangible link to their past presence. These structures often reveal insights into their construction techniques and daily lives. Some modern farming practices in these regions reflect the methods first introduced by the Vikings centuries ago. The genetic makeup of certain local populations shows a clear influence from Viking ancestors, indicating intermarriage and cultural exchange. The Vikings introduced new crops and agricultural techniques to the lands they settled, which have remained in use ever since. Artifacts unearthed from Viking grave sites provide clues about their daily lives and beliefs, reflecting a blend of Norse traditions and local influences. Through genetic analysis, it is known that the Vikings intermarried with the native populations, leaving behind a lasting imprint on the regional gene pool. Ongoing archaeological discoveries continue to shed light on the intricacies of Viking life and their enduring impact on European history. The fall of Constantinople to the Ottoman Empire occurred on May 29, 1453, marking the end of the Byzantine Empire. This once great city, fortified by its massive walls and strategic location, was besieged for weeks as the Ottomans relentlessly attacked. Within those walls, residents and defenders fought with determined resolve, knowing their fate hung in the balance. The city's grand architecture, including the Hagia Sophia and other historic buildings, bore witness to the final struggle. With the city's fall, the Ottoman Empire secured a crucial gateway between East and West. This pivotal event has been documented by chroniclers and historians, providing detailed accounts of the siege and its consequences. The siege of Constantinople had profound implications for the cultural and religious landscape of the region. The city's rich history and architectural marvels were now under Ottoman control, leading to significant changes in urban planning and governance. Accounts from survivors and eyewitnesses provided crucial insights into the events that transpired during those fateful weeks, helping future generations understand the complexities of the siege. The fall of Constantinople also meant the spread of Ottoman influence across the Balkans and the Eastern Mediterranean. The city's capture allowed the Ottomans to project power into Europe, transforming the political dynamics of the region. Accounts of the siege were recorded in various languages, preserving the event's memory for future generations. These records provide a vivid picture of life within the besieged city and the determination of its defenders. The city's libraries and schools were integrated into the Ottoman educational system, ensuring continuity and scholarly pursuits. Survivors of the siege often adapted to the new rulers, continuing their trades under a different flag. The conquest led to a blending of cultures, evident in the architecture and arts that emerged afterward. The experiences of those who endured the siege were passed down through stories, keeping alive the memory of the city's final days. The Crusades were military campaigns sanctioned by the Latin Church in the medieval period. These were organized expeditions, backed by religious authority, aiming to regain control of holy sites, notably Jerusalem. Soldiers traveled vast distances on foot and horseback, their armor glinting under the sun. The Latin Church, centered in Rome, provided spiritual guidance and legitimacy to these journeys. Records from this era, often preserved in monasteries, document the timeline and objectives of these campaigns. Scholars study these texts to understand the motives behind these complex military efforts. The medieval landscape changed as these campaigns progressed, with new fortifications built along routes. Artifacts like maps and manuscripts offer concrete evidence of these expeditions, revealing details about their planning and execution. Crusader armor, often crafted from iron, was both protective and a symbol of divine favor in battle. Monks meticulously copied texts, preserving the stories of these campaigns for future generations. The Crusades left indelible marks on local cultures, altering trade routes and customs. Archaeological findings, such as remnants of siege engines, provide tangible insights into the technological advancements driven by these military expeditions. The intricate designs on Crusader shields often reflected regional influences, integrating local styles into their religious symbolism. The extensive use of chainmail provided a protective layer against both arrows and melee attacks, highlighting the advanced metallurgy techniques of the time. Monastic libraries became repositories of strategic knowledge, housing texts that detailed siege tactics and defensive fortifications. Inscriptions on recovered weaponry offer glimpses into the personal beliefs and affiliations of individual crusaders, revealing the diverse nature of their spiritual motivations. Dante Alighieri wrote The Divine Comedies between 1308 and 1320, a significant literary work of the medieval period. This epic poem is a journey through the afterlife, guided by the Roman poet Virgil and Beatrice, Dante's ideal love. The text is divided into three parts: Inferno, Purgatorio, and Paradiso, each exploring different realms. It was composed over a decade, reflecting Dante's deep understanding of philosophy, religion, and literature. The Divine Comedy is renowned for its vivid imagery and allegorical depth. It has been translated into many languages, preserving its significance across cultures. Manuscripts and early prints bear witness to the poem's enduring influence. The city of Florence, where Dante lived, remains a place of pilgrimage for those interested in his life and work. This journey reflects the Christian worldview of Dante's time, portraying hell as a place of punishment, purgatory as a stage of purification, and paradise as eternal bliss. The poem's allegorical nature allows for interpretation on multiple levels, from personal growth to societal critique. It was through meticulous study of classical texts and contemporary philosophy that Dante crafted his profound narrative. Scholarly analysis of surviving manuscripts has enabled a deeper understanding of the poet's intent and the cultural context in which he wrote. The poem's structure, with its 100 cantos divided equally among the three realms, emphasizes a balanced journey through the afterlife. Dante's use of the Italian vernacular, rather than Latin, increased accessibility to the common people. The intricate symbolism and moral lessons woven into each canto encourage readers to contemplate their own lives and choices. Scholarly debates have focused on interpreting specific references and hidden meanings within the text. The Vikings began raiding Britain and Ireland in the late 8th century. Their longships, with their distinctive dragon-headed prows, sliced through the calm waters of the North Sea. The raids started from Scandinavia, a land of dense forests and fjords. They sought wealth and new lands, traveling in groups that grew larger as more Vikings joined them. News of these invasions spread across Europe, carried by merchants and travelers who had witnessed their ferocity. Archaeological finds from this period show the remnants of Viking raids, such as broken pottery and discarded weapons. The coastal towns of Britain and Ireland became fortified, with high walls to protect against these Norse invaders. As time passed, some Vikings settled in these lands, leaving their mark on local languages and cultures. Their swift and silent approach often caught coastal communities by surprise, with little time to react before the Vikings landed. These raids were not just opportunistic, they were meticulously planned and executed based on detailed knowledge of coastal geography and tides. Through artifacts found in abandoned Viking camps, we see evidence of their careful preparation, including iron tools and supplies for long journeys at sea. Gradually, the once familiar landscape of Britain and Ireland was forever altered by the presence of these new inhabitants. The Vikings left behind tangible remnants of their passage, from altered burial practices to the introduction of new farming techniques. Their integration into local communities often involved intermarriage, further blending cultures and languages over time. The Norse sagas and medieval chronicles provide additional insights into these events, offering contemporary accounts of Viking activities. Archaeological excavations continue to reveal more about their daily lives, trade networks, and the extent of their influence. In the 12th century, there was a movement to translate texts from Arabic and Greek into Latin. This translation movement brought Aristotelian natural philosophy to the West. Scholars laboriously copied and rewrote these ancient texts by hand, often in dimly lit scriptoria. The words of Aristotle, once distant and unreachable, were now accessible to a new generation of thinkers. Parchment surfaces held lines of Latin script that conveyed philosophical ideas from one language to another. This intellectual exchange was made possible by dedicated scholars who devoted their time and effort to this endeavor. The words of ancient philosophers were slowly unlocked from their original tongues. Each scriptorium was a sanctuary for knowledge, where the echoes of past thoughts could be heard anew. The act of translation was not merely changing words, but also bridging worlds. Scholars meticulously traced paths between languages, ensuring ideas traveled intact. These scholars often worked alone in quiet corners, their focus unbroken by distractions. They studied dictionaries and grammar guides to ensure precise meanings. The effort required careful attention to detail, as a single misinterpreted word could alter the essence of an idea. Through painstaking comparison of source texts, they ensured no nuance was lost in translation. These scholars relied on existing translations to cross-reference their work, creating a web of texts that reinforced each other's accuracy. They also consulted with native speakers when possible, seeking validation for the nuances they encountered. The result was a steady stream of knowledge flowing from east to west, enriching European thought and paving the way for future intellectual advancements. The University of Bologna was established in 1088 AD, a significant event in the history of education. This institution, located in Italy, is considered one of the oldest universities in the world. Frederick II, Holy Roman Emperor, also played a role in education by founding the University of Naples Federico II many years later. The establishment of these universities shows the importance of learning and scholarship in medieval times. They were places where knowledge was preserved and shared among students and scholars. Over time, the buildings of these universities have seen countless students walk through their halls, each carrying a desire to learn. The architecture of these institutions has likely changed over the centuries, yet they remain as symbols of intellectual pursuit. These universities acted as beacons of knowledge in an era where information was scarce and valuable. They offered a sanctuary for those seeking to expand their minds. The creation of these institutions demonstrated the recognition that education is essential for society's progress. They provided a foundation upon which future generations could build and advance. These universities were pivotal in preserving ancient texts and disseminating new ideas. They brought together scholars from various regions to exchange knowledge. The creation of these institutions marked a shift towards structured learning environments. This transition emphasized the value of collective wisdom over individual insights. These early universities housed vast libraries filled with handwritten manuscripts. Scholars often lived within the university walls to facilitate continuous learning and discussion. The curriculum focused on classic texts and subjects such as philosophy, medicine, and law. Over time, these universities attracted students from diverse backgrounds, including nobility and commoners alike. In the year 1198, Rasko Nemanjić established Hilandar University and Hospital in Serbia. This institution, nestled within the historic walls of Hilandar Monastery, was a pioneering effort to bring education and healthcare together under one roof. The founding of such an establishment in medieval times showcases the progressive mindset of its founder, who sought to advance both the intellectual and physical well-being of his people. The University of Bologna, known as the oldest university in continuous operation, had already laid the groundwork for academic institutions across Europe by this time. As a result, Rasko's endeavor was part of an emerging trend that emphasized the importance of learning and medical care within communities. The exact whereabouts of Hilandar University's buildings have been meticulously documented over centuries, preserving the legacy of this early educational and medical hub for future generations. In the quiet monastery halls, the flickering light of candles would illuminate manuscripts as students diligently studied, while in the adjoining hospital, dedicated healers tended to patients with care and compassion. This integration of education and healthcare within a single complex was a reflection of Rasko's vision for a more enlightened and healthier society. The fusion of learning and healing under one roof fostered a deep interplay between academic inquiry and practical application, with medical students gaining hands-on experience treating real patients. This symbiotic relationship ensured that educational theories were continually tested and refined within the context of actual healthcare needs. The monastery's extensive library housed ancient texts on both medicine and philosophy, providing a rich resource for scholars seeking to understand the body and mind. Through careful observation and meticulous record-keeping, healers documented patient outcomes, laying the foundation for modern medical research and its emphasis on data-driven improvement. In the mid-14th century, from 1347 to 1351, a devastating pandemic known as the Black Death swept through the world. This period marked an unprecedented loss of life, with estimates ranging from 75 million to 200 million people succumbing to the disease. The plague traveled swiftly along trade routes, reaching every corner of the globe. Graves were dug in haste, filling fields and churchyards, as the living could not keep pace with the mounting death toll. Survivors wore masks filled with herbs, hoping to protect themselves from the invisible threat. The sheer scale of this tragedy was only fully understood centuries later, through meticulous study of historical records and the examination of human remains. In quiet villages and bustling cities alike, life came to a halt as people grappled with the overwhelming reality of the Black Death. The plague's impact was so profound that it left villages and cities deserted, with homes left uninhabited. Archaeological findings have revealed mass graves filled with bodies buried hastily due to the sheer number of deceased. The analysis of preserved textiles from this era has shown traces of the bacteria Yersinia pestis, confirming its presence in human populations during that time. The sudden surge in mortality disrupted social structures and economies, as workers could not tend to fields or maintain trade. Villagers often abandoned their homes, fleeing to seemingly safer areas. The rapid spread of the disease challenged existing medical knowledge, revealing gaps in understanding illness transmission. Historical accounts and preserved artifacts have been essential in reconstructing the events of this period, providing insights into societal responses and the extent of the plague's reach. The Magna Carta was signed in 1215 by King John of England. This charter, written on parchment, limited the power of the English monarch. Before this document, the Norman conquest of 1071 established a new ruling class. The Magna Carta's clauses were a response to the barons' grievances against King John. It was signed at Runnymede, where the Thames River flowed gently. Over time, the charter became a symbol of liberties and rights. The original document, kept in the British Library, bears witness to this historical agreement. Its significance is not just in its words, but also in how it shaped future governance. The Magna Carta laid the groundwork for constitutional law, establishing that even rulers must adhere to legal principles. It influenced the drafting of later documents like the U.S. Constitution and Bill of Rights. Copies of the charter circulated among English nobles, ensuring its widespread recognition and adoption. The Magna Carta's principles resonated across societies, becoming a model for justice and fairness. Its impact was so profound that it has been translated into various languages to reach wider audiences. Through extensive research and study of medieval texts, scholars have deepened our understanding of the Charter's origins and its significance in political evolution. The Magna Carta marked a shift from absolute monarchy to government bound by law. It was discovered that King John's seal on the Charter authenticated its legitimacy. Scholars meticulously compared versions of the document to discern its original intent. The impact of the Magna Carta was evident in the gradual development of parliamentary systems across Europe. Joan of Arc was born in 1412 and burned at the stake in 1431, a period spanning just 19 years. This brief lifespan was filled with intense experiences, from her early visions to her leadership on the battlefield. The flames that consumed her were visible to many witnesses who gathered around the wooden pyre, their faces lit by the fiery spectacle. Her ashes scattered in the wind, carried away by the breeze of a chilly day in Rouen. The smoke rising from the stake formed dark clouds against the pale sky, the scent lingering for hours. The trial that preceded her death was documented meticulously, leaving behind parchments that recounted her words and deeds. Her name echoes through history, a symbol of courage and resilience, etched in stone and remembered in stories. Her story has been retold countless times, each iteration preserving her memory. The trial records provide a detailed account of the events leading to her execution. Her visions and leadership on the battlefield were seen as divine interventions by many. The parchments detailing her trial are now preserved in historical archives for future generations to study. The trial records reveal her unwavering faith despite the accusations against her. These documents were found in the ancient archives of the region's historical society. The handwritten accounts offer a glimpse into the religious climate of the time. The careful preservation of these parchments ensures that future historians can access this critical period in history. The trial records also shed light on the political dynamics of the era, showing how faith and power often intertwined. These documents were initially stored in monasteries and later transferred to national libraries for safer keeping. Their age and condition offer insight into the preservation techniques used centuries ago. Gregorian chants were codified by Pope Gregory I around 600 AD, capturing the essence of liturgical music in this era. These chants began as simple melodies, sung in Latin, echoing through ancient churches with their high ceilings and stone walls. Monks carefully transcribed these tunes onto parchment, preserving them for future generations. Over time, the chants became more complex, weaving multiple voices together to create a rich, harmonious sound. These musical texts were studied and performed in monasteries across Europe, ensuring their survival over centuries. The chants evolved as monks experimented with different intervals and rhythms, creating a unique musical language that reflected the spirituality of their time. They learned these intricate compositions by ear, memorizing each part and practicing together to achieve harmony. The melodies were often written in pneumatic notation, using symbols to represent pitch and rhythm, making them accessible for performance and further study. The monks sang these sacred melodies daily during their rituals and prayers, allowing the chants to permeate every aspect of their lives. This continuous practice helped them maintain precise pitch and rhythm, ensuring the integrity of each performance. By singing together in unison or harmony, they developed a deep sense of collective spirituality. The use of pneumatic notation facilitated the dissemination of these chants across different regions, enabling monks to learn and perform them accurately. The chants became a means of spiritual communication, transcending language barriers. Monks would listen intently to their elder counterparts, learning the intricacies of each chant through repetition and imitation. This method ensured that even those who could not read or write were able to participate fully in these sacred musical rituals. The oral tradition continued alongside written notation, emphasizing the importance of oral learning within monastic communities. On October 25, 1405 AD, the Battle of Agincourt took place, resulting in a significant victory for English forces over their French counterparts. The fields of Agincourt saw the clash of armored soldiers, with the ground shaking under the weight of countless horses and men. Longbows, favored by the English, proved to be a decisive advantage against the French cavalry. The event was documented in chronicles, providing detailed accounts of the battle's unfolding. The outcome of Agincourt reshaped the power dynamics of the Hundred Years' War, with England emerging as a formidable force on the continent. Artifacts and remains from the battlefield offer insights into the strategies and equipment used by both sides. Over time, the story of Agincourt has been retold through various mediums, ensuring its place in medieval history. The aftermath of the battle saw both celebration and reflection as leaders and soldiers alike pondered the significance of their victory. The tactical advantage of longbows was further enhanced by the muddy terrain, which hindered French cavalry charges. This victory also showcased the efficacy of English archery training and discipline. Meticulous analysis of battlefield artifacts revealed the precise formations used by both armies. The chronicle's detailed descriptions aided in reconstructing the sequence of events leading to the decisive English triumph. The muddy conditions, which favored the English foot soldiers over the French cavalry, played a crucial role in the outcome of the battle. This preference for infantry combat led to a shift in military tactics across Europe. The study of ancient artifacts unearthed from Agincourt has provided valuable insights into medieval warfare and weaponry. The Fourth Crusade, initiated in the year 202 and concluding in 204 AD, culminated in the seizure of Constantinople. This grand city, renowned for its wealth and cultural significance, fell prey to the Crusaders' ambitions. The assault on Constantinople was not a swift engagement. It was a drawn-out siege that saw the city's inhabitants enduring the harsh realities of warfare. The Crusaders, initially diverted from their intended target of the Holy Land, found themselves compelled to turn towards this great eastern metropolis. The reason behind this shift in focus was rooted in the political maneuverings and alliances formed during the journey. As the siege progressed, the city's walls, once thought impregnable, succumbed to the persistent onslaught. The sacking of Constantinople marked a pivotal moment in medieval history, echoing through the annals as a grim reminder of the Crusades' tangible consequences. The sacking of Constantinople signified the transition of power from the east to the west. This shift occurred due to the Crusaders' superior military tactics and the city's weakened defenses. The accounts of this event have been preserved through historical records and eyewitness testimonies, providing a vivid narrative of the siege. The fall of Constantinople marked the end of the Byzantine Empire, once a bastion of civilization and learning. The Crusaders' plunder left the city in ruins, with precious artifacts looted or destroyed. Historical records detail the atrocities committed during this period, painting a grim picture of the city's fate. Constantinople's fall signified a major cultural shift, as its libraries and repositories of knowledge were ravaged. The once great city lay in ruins, with its grandeur and learning centers reduced to rubble. Survivors recounted tales of destruction and despair, creating an enduring legacy of the siege's consequences. The impact of this event resonated through future generations, shaping perceptions of the Crusades and their lasting implications. The Domesday Book was compiled in 1086 by William the Conqueror. This great survey of England detailed the lands, livestock, and people throughout the kingdom. The book's title comes from its finality and authority, similar to a Day of Judgment. It was created following the Norman conquest, seeking to understand and control the lands newly acquired. Scribes meticulously noted each village and estate, recording their resources in careful handwriting. This immense undertaking covered nearly all of England, providing valuable insights into medieval society. The information within its pages has been preserved over centuries, allowing historians today to reconstruct the landscape of that time. The detailed accounts within the Domesday Book reveal how resources were distributed across the land. Its records serve as a snapshot in time, showing what was and where it was located. This data allows researchers to track changes over generations. It highlights both the wealth of certain areas and the disparities between them. It was a tool for taxation and governance, ensuring that every estate paid its fair share. Each entry listed what could be taxed, from crops to animals. It provided a tangible record of ownership and holdings, solidifying the claims of the nobility. The book's creation involved local knowledge, with residents providing information about their communities. The compilation of the Domesday Book required extensive travel by scribes to gather data from various villages and estates. It was a physical book, written on parchment, which has been carefully preserved in archives over time. This historical document is now digitized for easier access and analysis. The entries within are organized by counties, making it simpler to navigate and study specific regions. And that is where we will leave medieval for tonight. The facts will still be true tomorrow, and this video will still be here whenever you need it. Sleep well.